Hey, I'm Jeff Turner with Action Reloaded. It's great to have you, Ryan and Matthew. How are you
Hey,
guys?
Jeff. I'm good. How are
Good, how are
you?
you?
I'm good, thanks. Congratulations on the release of the movie.
Thank you.
So, Matthew, I'm gonna go for you first, so to speak. So, you wrote and you directed the movie. What inspired you to write this movie?
Well, before I wanted to be a filmmaker, I wanted to be an FBI agent. So when I was 14 years old, this crime was committed. The movie's set in 2004, and I first learned about Jason Derek Brown because I used to go on the FBI's Most Wanted Fugitives website. And Jason's face immediately stuck out because you had this spiky, blonde-haired, charismatic surfer dude from Southern California who just really didn't fit the bill. You know, when you're putting his face next to Osama bin Laden and Whitey Bulger and criminal masterminds, right? So, the face struck me, and film is visual, so I remember the visual of it. And 14 years later, I'd graduated film school from the AFI. I was figuring out what my first feature was, and all of a sudden, Jason Derek Brown's face flashed on the television, and I saw that he was still missing, and I couldn't believe it. I turned the volume up. I started watching this documentary about him, and I just became completely transfixed and realized that there was much more to the story than I thought. It was not just a potentially crime thriller with like an armored truck robbery and a heist and a cat and mouse game between Tom Pelphrey's character and Ryan's character, but it was also about an examination of a con artist and the charisma and the charm he has and the dark side of the American dream. So it was really the movie was very layered to me. It had a lot that I think a dramatist could sink their teeth into.
So, how far down the rabbit hole did you have to go in terms of research?
I did a lot. I first read everything that was available to me, and there was a lot out there, a lot of documentaries, a lot of, Dateline, American Greed, tons of programs, tons of TV segments, interviews. There was a couple of books. There's a lot of information I could get. So I did a lot of research. I probably spent about 6 months doing active research and procrastinating from actually writing a word. And then finally, I think that's the challenging thing is you have to eventually ditch the research and start writing. And for me, I didn't necessarily force myself to be accurate because I knew this wasn't a documentary, and I say this is a painting, not a photograph. So it is an interpretation of what happened, but I, wanted to make sure that I was, pursuing the truth as much as I could, the emotional truth, and, trying to portray these characters honestly as I saw them in my head.
And Ryan, how did you manage to get on board of this project?
Well, I was submitted a great script from a great young writer director. I was really drawn in by how restrained it was in regards to, you could, as a young filmmaker or writer, really lean into the tropes associated with this genre and really over dramatize or get melodramatic or invent scenes that didn't really need to be there. This was such a lean, focused way of storytelling that I really responded to that. And then also the fact that this man is still at large. Maybe if enough people see this movie, talk about this movie, we're going to find this guy and get his ass. That's what I'm hoping.
So, we could do a sequel.
Maybe.
Hint, hint, Matthew.
Crazier things have happened.
So, what was the most challenging thing for both of you guys about filming this movie?
Well, every independent film has its challenge. Every single one is a miracle when they finally get made or come to fruition or turn out good. There's so many variables. You're dealing with a short schedule and a smaller budget and time constraints of all sorts. And, Matthew can speak to this as well. And this was his first time going through it. But I wanted to be there as a force of support, mentor in certain capacities, and help him along when I could, because I know what a challenge it is to try to pull this off. It really is. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. Well, and in addition to acting in so many movies, Ryan's directed a movie and a good movie, and he's worked with some of the greatest directors around, from he's worked with three of my heroes, Clint Eastwood, Robert Altman, and Tony Scott, who are three of the reasons I became a filmmaker in the first place. So to have someone like him, as someone of his caliber in this debut indie feature film was such a luxury that doesn't normally happen. So, there were a lot of challenges for sure. I mean, shooting a first movie, as Ryan pointed out, is hard. Shooting a movie, period, is hard. And then shooting a movie in COVID, because we shot at the height of the pandemic, November 2020 in Utah. At the time when Utah was in the news every single day, not in a good way. So it was really a tough, not the easiest time to make a film, but at the same time, while it was challenging and shooting the film was such an adrenaline rush, I felt like I was running in front of a locomotive train. But we were able to do it. We were able to. It was we were all just saying to ourselves, like, how crazy is it that we just get to do this? Because so many people had come from months of being locked down and not able to work. So it was just a real luxury that you had this amazing cast, this amazing Utah crew that came out and really got behind the movie and rallied us. And yeah, it was a dream come true for me.
Well, guys, congratulations on the movie, and thanks for taking the time to come and chat with me. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother.